Jota Motor Park in Lagos is a beehive of activities. Commuters locate the destination-bound vehicles as part of plans to celebrate the Christmas season. However, in the midst of the euphoria is the economic reality of increased transport fare.
The fare has been increased from 800 to 1,000. Earlier, during the week when you travel, most times 700 at times. But on Fridays, the 800. But for today, maybe because the day to Christmas is 1,000. And I'm very sure by the time you get to around 4, 5, 6, it will be 1, 2, 1, 5.
In another part of town, long queues are recorded at different ATM machines in the last-minute attempt to shop. Some shops record low turnout. In this grocery store, the story is a bit different, as these shoppers say prices are not cutthroat despite increase in demand for products.
Well, for me, I think they're a bit reasonable. For some of the stuff I'm picking up here, I've seen it in some other far bigger departmental shops, not as cheap as this. Even the last time I went to Alade Market to buy drinks, I still looked at the prices, checked out the prices. They were still more expensive than what I'm getting there. I think things are a bit cheaper.
The prices of goods here are actually pretty fair because we try to competitively source for our suppliers. But during the Christmas period, we've seen prices increase, especially for staple foods like rice, vegetable oil. But it hasn't been something significant that you would say it would, change what a normal family would be able to afford.
Whether you're traveling from one part of Lagos to another, going outside of Lagos State, or you've come to a grocery store like this to shop for family, friends, loved ones, or even for the needy, one thing is certain, it's a time to enjoy, and most importantly, because this season comes only once a year. Bolaji Akinwale for Channels Television News.
Well, yes, indeed. Thank you, Bolaji. Dr. Austin Wanza joins us this morning. He's of the Pan Atlantic University. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too.
Thank you. Same to you. Well, looking at that report, I mean, for a lot of Nigerians, that's what economics boils down to.
That's right.
How does it affect the purse?
Yeah.
Because at this time, this season, what happens in some other places is you see the prices just come down. And then even economies that are not doing as good as they ought to,
that's right,
the prices just come down, and then afterwards, you could go back to your normal pricing. But here, it's completely different. What is it with the economy?
Well, it's I don't know what to call it, because our type of economy, the one we tend to practice, is quite the reverse. I remember many years ago when I was a student in Canada, Christmas time is the best time to get things cheap. Really, really cheap. There's so many discounts so many product items are discounted just for the period. It's the best time to buy. And you know that is the spending time from January to, September, October. You're saving money to spend for Christmas. It's a spending time. Even the stock exchanges always feel the impact of the expenditures that go on during Christmas time. But here, they will pretend to give discount, but what you usually do is to increase the price first of all, and then return it maybe to a normal level, or a little bit higher than the normal, which is not supposed to be. The average person on the street should be able to afford. If he could not afford anything anytime during the year, it's this time that he should be able to afford to buy certain things.
I heard you say sometimes in some of your lectures that, we have this, we're largely becoming a service economy.
That's right.
And when you do know our economy, in different percentages, we have the oil and gas industry, we've got the services, which is increasing now, then you have agriculture, and some others. Could it be that we don't manufacture many of these things? Manufacturing, I think, contributes about, they say, 2% to our economy.
Yeah, manufacturing used to contribute in the 80s, used to contribute about 13.4 or 14% to the GDP. But right now, it's between 2.5 or 3, between 3 and 4%, which is not, because the service economy really is a must. Because globally, like for instance, the U.S. economy is 80% service, which is where the global trend is going. Okay, in fact, the International Trade Center said that by 2050, that 80%, a minimum of 80% of the workforce globally will be working in services, which means that you have to move from production then to service. And even when you're producing, you're also providing services. They go hand in hand. Okay, so but you find that one, we don't produce. Two, we consume too much, and everything you do, our thinking, nobody is thinking about producing anything here. And it goes to policy making too. Policies are made, like Ben Bruce was talking, Ben Murray Bruce was talking at a function. He said that one thing about government is that they use the right hand to give you life and use the left hand to collect that life back. Which is what exactly the policy making in Nigeria is all about. They make policies to say, okay, let's encourage businesses, but they use the other hand to collect it back through interest rate. So you find that interest rate has a big influence on the economy. Because if the government wants to expand the economy, they have to, is the interest rate they will use to influence it. If they want to contract the economy, is the interest rate. And again, they are still fighting, okay, so we don't want so many inflation to go higher than this thing, and then the foreign exchange. These are the unholy trinity, if you will, and that influence some policies. But I said that, look, there's no point having, if I were to run the economy, for instance, just for 4 or 5 years, you find that I wouldn't even bother with the inflation.
Why?
I won't bother so much. What I will do, and it has worked in other economies, what I will do is, look, make sure that the productive capacity of the nation, businesses are producing at the optimal level. Look at the different areas in the country, and so have some kind of factor endowment based development strategy. See what can be done, include production, manufacturing all over the place. Now, as you continue to produce, now inflation is there, but what happens is that as the economy becomes more productive, it will absorb whatever would have been that inflationary thing. So you find as the inflation is being absorbed, thereby, because competition will come, many things will come, it will force down the price of things.
Every year we tend to get to this point. That's where we started from, where prices go up, even though the demand is higher, which is not, it's supposed to be the other way around.
Yeah.
But let's look at our economy this last year that's ending now. How would you rate it? Even with what you're talking about now, becoming a service economy or not becoming a service economy, how has the economy fared in 2013?
Well, it has not fared very well, and the budget, because the government also has a big influence in the economy. What they have done, the policies and all that, have not been favorable to growing the economy. Okay, the economy generally has not fared well.
Why do you say so? Because I don't think that the government will agree with you. The different names that our budget goes by, I mean, the different theme of the budget every year, we show that the government they want growth, they want jobs, for young people, they want businesses to bloom. I mean, you see the agriculture sector, what they're also doing in terms of import duties. I doubt that they'll agree with you.
No, but again, let's talk about the import duties. Now, what the customs supposed to do? Customs is set up to make money, which is not the right thing. It's not set up to make money. It's supposed to protect the infant industries.
That's what I was talking about.
Yes.
I mean, in terms of custom duties. I mean, what
but do you know the turnover? Do you know how much money the customs declares?
Well,
if they declare, they make that's not right.
That was what was going to take me to my own, sorry, Nyota, my follow-up question on what you were talking about, as to whether or not, even if we begin production, have our taste for imported goods become so bad that there is a fear that in spite of whether or not production grows in-house, we will continue to demand and want goods imported from abroad?
No.
Do you see that happening?
We can force demand, our people to, by doing what? Let's go back to 18-something, early 18th century, when the U.S., a 33-year-old Alexander Hamilton talked about this protecting Americans' infant industries. This was the policy he did. Let's begin to consume whatever we can produce. Yes, we make mistakes. Increase it.
Isn't that why we have an increase in import tariffs, especially on things that we can source locally? For instance, sugar, rice. We saw
you having that.
Yes.
What are you doing to develop, to encourage production within?
Aren't you seeing a corresponding increase in that?
Companies are folding up. Companies are folding up. You give waivers to all kinds of people and to bring in some stuff and killing other businesses as well.
In spite of what they say is this drive to boost the agricultural sector?
Even agriculture, we're getting it wrong.
How?
I like what is going on, but the thinking behind agriculture is faulty. In the sense that we are still seeing agriculture the way we are not supposed to see it. The moment we begin to... The minister said at one point that his office recorded about 10 million farmers in Nigeria. My question is, why are we still hungry? Why can't we feed ourselves? With 10 million farmers. It's only in Nigeria you have such a number of farmers that you can feed. You're hungry. Because that's
Did he classify the farmers?
He didn't classify the farmers. He just said that when they reached the 10 million mark, they stopped. So it could have been more. But my point is this. To grow agriculture, make it more decent, we need to begin to think of agriculture as 95% science and then 5% work. But right now, we see agriculture as 95% or even 99% work and no science.
We're seeing it also. I mean,
we need to do more research.
It's a new thinking for the ministry too, that they're beginning to see agriculture more as a business.
Yes.
Which is not also a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea.
Yes.
But the thing is that you have smallholder farmers, subsistence level. We don't need more than 20,000 farmers in this country. Max.
For a country of 165 million plus.
How many of them, U.S. population is about 300 million. But do they have up to 20,000 farmers?
Doesn't it boil down to what these farmers are doing?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, you need to apply technology to all of this. Do more research. Come up with a system whereby you don't have to wait from rainy season to the other before crops can grow. We need to grow crops, 24 hours.
That requires a lot of funding too.
Not even funding. It requires a lot of thinking.
Yeah, thinking comes with funding. Research comes with funding.
The only people that are similarly doing some kind of research to help agriculture is this IITA in Ibadan. We need to begin to think of high yield crops so that we begin to do, instead of waiting every season. And you find that during the mango period, everything is wasted literally all over the place. Why not build industries that could absorb this thing, have a year-round, increase the value chain, make transition from one point of raw and to the other to finish.
But there is already thinking in that direction. In fact, there is more than thinking. There is already investment in that direction as well. I mean, we know that this thing would definitely take time to materialize. I mean, for us to see the products in the market. But it would seem that we have witnessed some progress in that particular area. Don't you agree?
No, yeah, but okay, let's talk about the tomato paste that is still coming back, and I don't know. We used to have a company, Vegfru or something, making the suddenly policy made that company to close down. Now they are coming back again, still importing some of these items. I think Dangote or some other company has also taken that up. We don't need only Dangote to improve our production. Everybody is now looking up to Dangote to solve Nigeria's problem. No, we need more than 1,000, 2,000, 50,000 Dangotes in this country to begin for the economy to grow. We should not focus on one person and all that.
There are those who wonder if we actually do any research, not just not the startup research, also the follow-up research. Do we have a research system in our economy?
Yeah, this is the major thing that we are failing. And in this knowledge economy, which Chamberlain started, is service. How can you go do all this without research? Now, you see all the budget. How